Hi guys, we are men at iThrive. I always found this very funny. Normally, to maintain the gender balance, people have to hire women. In our company, we have to hire men to maintain the gender equality. So we at men at iThrive, we come up with every month with a new topic, which is of importance to men's health. And this month we have decided to talk about depression. Now there are important statistics that I came across almost every day. Like there are suicide cases, and there are people coming out openly with respect to depression. Okay, I'm suffering from depression or whatever, and they want to work on it. So what I had the statistic is so revealing. Like there are many women who get diagnosed with depression. There are hardly any men who get diagnosed with depression. That doesn't mean that men don't undergo depression, that they don't suffer from depression. What it means that men don't think they can suffer from depression. So they have been conditioned and they have been told since their childhood they have to be strong, they can't be suffering from any mental issue, they have to take care of everything, they have to carry all the burden on their head, they can't express themselves emotionally, they can't cry, they can't laugh. There are so many restrictions which are put on men by always telling them that you're a man, you're not supposed to do this. So all these subtle aspect of mental health, which are so important, to improve quality of your life, goes undetected or unnoticed, especially in men. Now, what statistic I came across is there are far fewer men who are diagnosed with depression as compared to women, almost like 1:4. If there are four women who would get diagnosed with depression, there are one man who gets diagnosed with depression. But if you compare that with the suicide rate by mental depression, it is exactly ulta. So there are actually more men who are committing suicide because of mental health and depression than the women who are committing it. Now the reason can be many. You have to see the entire how the society is structured. Normally, it is called patriarchal society that puts lots of burden on to the man's head, saying that you have to be strong, you have to be committed, you have to be, always taking care of something or the other. You can't buckle. You have to carry everyone's burden with you. So that patriarchal has some, disadvantages for women. It has some disadvantages for men also. So they have forgotten how to become emotional, how to become vulnerable, how to become, how to ask for safety, how to ask for security, how to ask for help rather. So most of the men don't even consider depression as a possibility in their life because it is considered as a stigma. It is considered as unmanly. It's considered as namardgi. All those kind of things will come along with the symptom, along with this tag of depression. Now, what exactly is depression? How it happens? There can be so many reasons. There can be so many symptoms. So typically, the classical psychology has certain symptoms associated with depression. Then, when you click those symptoms, you're diagnosed as a depressive person. Now, those symptoms are generally anxiety, aloofness, irritability, mood swings. You don't feel like talking to someone. Your appetite is gone. You are within yourself. There are so many of these behavioral symptoms that the clinical psychology identifies, acknowledges. But as I told you, these are behavioral symptoms. These are not a psychological symptom. These are irritability is a behavioral symptom. Loss of appetite is a behavioral symptom. Wanting to be alone is a behavioral symptom. Why do you want to be alone? Why you are losing your appetite? Why you are undergoing whatever you are undergoing? Why you don't feel like interacting with the world outside you? So when you ask this question, then you reach that certain level of reaching out to the man's mind. Okay, now the question is coming. Now maybe I should start thinking in this direction. Otherwise, other symptoms are typically clubbed with the metabolic health wala issue. So they are clubbed with your other symptoms. Ki your gut is bad, that's why you lost appetite, or you didn't sleep properly, that's why you're feeling irritable, or did not have proper food for last, or you're drinking too much, or you're addicted to something. That's why the other things are causing. So that doesn't address the issue that we can identify ourselves with. That happened with me also. So when you are depressed, when you are feeling anxious, the person who knows best is you. No one else knows whether you are depressed or whether you are undergoing some sort of mental trauma or issues. And unless and until you address it, you acknowledge it first of all. Yes, I am undergoing depression. This is not metabolic stuff that I am experiencing. This is not behavioral stuff I am experiencing. This is some kind of psychological and mental issues that I am facing. I should seek resolution of those issues. So acknowledging that symptoms, okay, this is the symptoms I have. This is called as depression. Acknowledging that situation, seeking help with respect to how we can mitigate or how we can minimize those things. That is how the depression needs to be addressed. Now, what we have seen is people don't address depression is men because depression in women is typically identified with the hormonal changes, like their menstrual cycles and their even the childbirth postpartum kind of thing, or even their puberty. There are so many changes which are happening in their body as compared to fewer changes happening in man's body. So women are typically more sensitive, more susceptible, and they're allowed to express their emotion. If they're crying, no one looks down upon them as compared to what happens with man. So what I am trying to understand here is why men, why we are, what we are trying to understand here or discuss here is why man undergoes certain kind of things. As I told you, Suyash, there are like metabolic issues associated with depression, right? So
Yes.
normally we associate, okay, gut health is bad, so that's why you're feeling depressed, or
Mm.
you didn't sleep properly, or you have acidity, or you have reflux, or whatever. I mean, there are so many metabolic issues are there.
Right.
People identify those as a cause for their psychological issues. But is there a direct connection between your metabolic health and your depressive tendency?
Yes, yes, definitely, Avinash, and we have seen this in our practice for sure. Like many a times, people who came to us. So whenever we do our blood work, the first thing which we found this as a root cause is nutritional deficiencies. I'll be talking about it further. That what kind of different nutrients can cause depression or the state of mind to be depressed because there are the neurotransmitters are not working correctly and other things. But beside nutrition deficiencies, if there's any kind of insulin resistance going on, blood sugar imbalances, blood sugar itself indicates, right? If you have high blood sugar, you'll be more on into a maniac or a elated stage, and if you have low blood sugar, like the blood sugar crash phenomena, which we call, the person will be going to depressed stage, right? So the blood sugar imbalances again is very very important thing which we see. If the person is having insulin resistance, that can definitely put the person in depressive stage. Besides that, there are some hormonal implications, hormonal imbalances happening in men as well. One of them is, which often Rusty talks about, low testosterone levels, right? So if a person is going through low testosterone levels, their hormonal stage, their by default, their energy and other things will also be on depressive stage, right? So the person will not have enough energy, right? If the person is not having enough energy, by default the person is in depressive stage, or in a more of a dormant stage as well. So one of the reasons is that, right? Besides that, as you already mentioned, right, gut health, your gut microbiome, your bacteria and good bacteria are, and versus bad bacteria ratio in your gut, right? A lot of time that, as we all know, gut is our second brain, right? So a lot of time it depends on your gut microbiome stage as well, and we have seen this. 80% of the serotonin is made inside your gut, right? Which helps you to increase your mood, elevate your mood, other things as well. So that's another important metabolic cause. And then there are again psychological causes as well, which you'll be going into in deep, right? Addiction or a purposeless life, living a purposeless life, like
Yeah,
not
yeah.
knowing.
That I mean,
Right.
we work with mental health and we
Yeah,
work with our clients on the
exactly,
mind health part. And lack of purpose is so evident, like it's everywhere, and
exactly,
you try to camouflage it, and sometimes it comes up. You, you start suddenly questioning why am I alone or what
exactly,
am I doing
right.
on this planet? Like today only we were talking about self knowledge, and that knowledge about knowing what you're supposed to do on this planet will greatly help you anchor your life. Otherwise, you will become unhinged. So you mentioned about that neurotransmitter wala thing. Ki there are
Hmm.
dopamine, serotonin, which is getting produced, which are like mood enhancing hormones.
Right.
So lot of the psychotropic medicines or the psychological medicine or psychiatric medicine which are given, either they are supposed to enhance your certain kind of hormones, or they are
Hmm.
supposed to suppress by generating certain kind of hormones, suppress your ability to feel only, the ability to suppress your emotions also. So do
Right.
they also mess up with this neurotransmitter producing cycle? The medicine, the definitely psychological medicines are doing to do that, but the general medicine also, like aspirin, paracetamol, people just take it like, okay, fever aa gaya, paracetamol le li.
Right.
But
Right.
do they
Right.
have effect on your this neurotransmitter?
Definitely, Avinash. There are the different characters, categories of medications. Which has proven. Even there are a lot of scientific papers which has proven. That it can cause depression as a side effect in that person, right? So I'll start with the first name. The first name which people most commonly and often take is beta blockers, right? A lot of
They're
people who has
pure
hypertension.
blood thinners.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
hypertension one.
Yes. So they take a lot of time, and then that's one of the side effects of those is to suppress uh, the calcium channel gateways in the I'll not go that technically, but yeah, again, like it indirectly it reduces your serotonin and dopamine levels, and it helps you like make more numb and depressed at that side effect. Besides that, there are corticosteroids, anticonvulsants which are given in people who have seizure or stroke
Epilepsy,
issues.
yeah.
Then there are Parkinson drugs, given with people who have Parkinson symptoms, hormone altering drugs. Then there are another common group of medication which a lot of people take, PPIs and statins. Like PPI is your proton pump inhibitors, given most commonly prescribed drug given by physician for your acidity or acid reflux issues, right? So that also like like suppresses your serotonin levels and can cause the depression as well. And statins, we all know, right? Statins directly inhibit CoQ10 enzyme, right, which is very very important for your mitochondrial health, the cell health, and to improve your energy and mood at a certain stage, right? So again, like these all are medications which definitely uh, has one of the side effects as a depression thing.
So, I mean, there is a, I'm sure the R&D team and you yourself has gone through the lots of literature which is available, the scientific paper which are available on the medicine-induced causes of depression. In fact, I remember, working with a client and who was prescribed some psychiatric medicine, and I was just going through the side effect only. I don't know the scientific science part of it. I mean, one of the side effect was the increased suicidal tendencies. I mean, the drug was prescribed to prevent suicidal tendency, has a side effect as increased suicidal tendency. And now, why would you give that drug to anyone for that?
Exactly.
It is not
Yeah.
you can't give
So
that to someone who is already on a suicidal tendency. So,
right.
I mean, general conditioning of the society itself puts man at a disadvantage. Like there were some high-profile actresses in the recent past who came up openly talking about their depression. I have hardly seen any man coming out and talking about depression. Okay, he was depressed or something. I think there was one CEO who talked about it, and I think he left the company or something happened, or people started looking at him differently, especially in the startup culture, with the founders and the co-founders and all the top team is always under pressure to deliver, and they fail to acknowledge this nagging, something which is nagging them from inside. Okay, something is wrong. I am not supposed to do this, or I have to stop. I should take a pause. I should reflect, or I should just take breathe and see where I'm going, how I'm going. So in this high pressure corporate environment, these especially the main co-founder, go through so much of anxiety, so much of trauma at small level. This small trauma we talk about, that it keeps accumulating.
This is one of the common mistake like which people do, like not
Yeah.
accepting and not acknowledging that they
And
need
this
help,
happens
right?
with
Yeah.
even high flyers, Suyash. I mean, that is surprising. Like, I can understand people who are not exposed to, new kinds of belief system around mental health. But the people who are making millions and creating billion-dollar
Hmm.
worth of industry, they don't know they're suffering from a certain kind of mental health issue, and which is easily treatable. Like, it can be addressed, it can be cured, and you can have a your beautiful life back. So what are the, I mean, I wanted to know, dealing with depression, a lot of people go to, generally they go to a counselor or a psychiatrist. Most of the psychiatrists prescribe medicine. Most of the counselor take them through the classical theory around finding out what are their basic belief system and value system and work around it and give them some kind of assurance or some kind of relief in terms of alleviating the symptoms. What I have recently also come across is depression can be used. It can be used if you are conscious enough to understand how depression is caused as an altered state of consciousness. So, altered state of consciousness, if it is coming by accident, it is dangerous. If it is coming by choice, like you are
Right.
choosing to go there and explore yourself, talk to yourself, reach
Mhm.
out to your own self more, it can be used therapeutically,
Yeah, interesting.
right? So you can also go inside you. Okay, you're aloof from the world, you don't feel like eating, talking, going out, doing anything. Now you're completely with
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Now go inwards, find out, talk to your mind, talk to your spirit, and figure out what exactly you're supposed to do on this planet. So altered state of consciousness is one
Right.
theory which is coming up to, look at depression in a different way altogether.
Mm-hmm.
These are like, I mean, some of the things that
So
people
a
do.
positive side of depression is just what
Yeah.
you talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it is again undesirable. If it goes to the extreme, it
Right.
creates those suicidal tendencies,
Exactly.
and you may
Yeah.
never come back, or it can lead to
Hmm.
schizophrenic or bipolar
Right.
or multi-person disorder. Okay, at one point you're like this, and the other point you're someone else. So it can lead to other things also.
So I think
But
that's where
there are,
a shaman or a guide is important, right? To be
yeah.
with
So
you
I
in
was
that
coming to
process.
that. What
Yeah.
are the common mistakes people make while treating depression? Now the depressed person doesn't know most of the time that he is depressed. So someone
Mm-hmm.
from the family, friend, family or colleagues will take them out and maybe
Right.
when the symptoms become too much.
Right.
This guy has
Right.
not eaten, he has not slept, or he has not done anything. Then they take him to a person, doctor,
Mm-hmm.
psychologist, or wherever they feel right. So, what are the mistakes people can avoid while dealing with these things?
So one of the first mistake which you just talk about was not acknowledging and accepting it, right? If they'll not talk about it, if they'll not accept it, that itself it's a mistake, right? So then they'll not be able to heal, or they'll not be able to overcome that stuff, right? So one of the things is that. And then I often like I often think that why will you not like to go into the root cause, that why am I feeling in a certain manner, right? Which is I'm not supposed to feel like that, right? So let's say if I am having depression, or if I'm even having those moments of depression, I would definitely like to look inside, or I would like to look uh, to the root causes, that why actually I'm feeling like this. So not finding the root cause, and just going to maybe psychiatrist or a physician, and then started taking medications without even knowing that why am I going to that stage, what my body is trying to tell me, right? That's again another big mistake which a lot of people do, right? Until unless we are not clear about that, definitely we should be asking ourselves that why am I going to that stage, or why my body is letting me go into that stage, right? Is it something it's trying to tell me? That is something which, as you also mentioned, right? Going by choice inside, right? And asking for like answer to the questions as well, and connecting to your higher self, right? And then a lot of people also, as you were talking about, especially high profile clients, right? Who even they don't talk about it, or they don't accept or acknowledge it, right? I think it's because they consider it as normal. A lot of people has this belief that the more you are high profile, or the more you are rich in the society, or the more status quo you have, these kind of problems are normal, right? So you have to just be with it, deal with it. You just take a pill and just be with it, not going inside and actually finding, because a lot of people also fear going inside it, that what if they are not the person at outside the same with the inside, right? They might change, they might
Hmm.
relate in a certain manner, they might leave all that materialistic stuff and go, right? Which they don't want to see the dark side, see the dark stuff, right? Which we often uh,
So, if
like
I have to
talk
say,
about.
I mean, just for the understanding of the people who are not depressed and they are dealing with someone who is depressed. So, if I have to identify someone who is suffering from a depression, what are the outwardly symptoms that one should look for? Okay, this person looks depressed. What are those visible symptoms people should be looking for?
Number one, is what I've come across in my experience is not being enthusiastic about life, not being, energetic about life. You don't feel like
That is like
living.
50% of population.
So that's where
So
something is what we
those who
need
are in a
to.
regular job, they don't want to go to their work. They don't have something to
Sooner
look
or
forward
later
to,
they will be in that stage,
except
right? Yeah.
except they're working at iThrive, then they will look forward to coming to
Exactly.
office.
So I feel like lacking energy, lacking every day, like waking up in morning and then going to work is another mode of, your body telling you that like that's not the way. Even your performance being reduced, even your productivity going down. You're feeling sluggish, brain fog, a lot of disorientation coming in, and you just feel like being aloof. You don't feel like going into society. You don't feel like meeting people, making new friends, or being with others, right? I think these are, some important signals which body tries to give, that you need to go inside and see, what's there. You need to sort out some, stuff, right? I think, like, if you ask me this, so I just wanted to ask you, Avinash, that, a lot of people has this belief that, I will not go to a counselor, that I am not a, psyche, or, I'm not a psychopath, who will be taking help. So what have you find in your experience, that does the counseling really help, when, like, you counsel a lot of people and you work with a lot of people who have these issues, and, around that. So I just wanted your opinion and expression
Yeah,
towards that.
that is very interesting. That kind of work I do now.
Hmm.
I mean, I deliberately decided not to read any of the psychology books. Just that my
Oh.
mind doesn't get conditioned with their standard
Hmm.
definition
Hmm.
or templatizing of symptoms into this category one, grade two, grade three,
Right.
or symptomatically assessing client and telling them, okay, this is the template that you should follow. Somewhere when I have to explain it to someone whom I am working with, I tell them the difference between what I mean, the trained or so-called certified counselor and what someone who has learned through thick and thins of life. The difference is very simple. They have some kind of tools,
Right.
a limited number of tools that they use. Suppose you're somewhere in the deep valley, and your counselor or a psychologist is sitting at some safe place in the mountain. So he is using those tools to take you out of that valley, right? To bring you up to his level or wherever possible. And what I do is I'll climb down to come to your level, and I'll take you up with me. So that is the
Wow.
difference between the approach that I have
Interesting.
while dealing with the client. If wherever you are at whatever stage of your mental stage of your evolution you are at, I will come down to your level. I will not throw you ropes or tools or to help you come out. So
Mhm.
if theoretically, I mean, if graphically I have to represent, it's very simple. I just come, be with you, help you get your strength back, and then tell you, "Okay, this is the way you can go. Maybe you should be able to climb that mountain now." So that
Right.
is the difference between how I work with the client. There are so many interesting things we do. There are so many things we create around life. There are the Mugda works around the future. I look at more of a past. Both of us try to help the client grow in the present. So address the
Mhm.
past issue. You show them the future. The present becomes beautiful because you're not
Right.
carrying the baggage and you're
Right.
not burdened by the anxiety of the future. So that
Mhm.
is where the mental health should be treated in a way that it is something which needs to be dealt with by finding out the root causes and by finding out the root of those things and addressing those roots, not
Right.
giving them
Correct.
templatized worksheets or templatized meditations
Agree.
to deal with it.
So
You have to
each
be
person
be
is
with your
unique, right? You need to have a unique approach
that
with
is the approach we
everyone.
take in
Exactly.
Suyash in our
Yeah.
functional medicine approach. In fact,
Yeah.
my next query was around that. Is there, see, mentally that we work, or the emotional or the spiritual side, the psycho spiritual side that Mudra works, that is one approach. But unless your body is totally prepared to
Right.
create those neurotransmitter, dopamine, serotonin, or whatever you need to, feel enthusiastic about life, or the testosterone level itself. So everything, as Mugdha says, that everything starts at body level, at physical level.
Mm-hmm.
If your body
Yeah.
is not able to, your mitochondria is not in a position to produce whatever is needed for body to feel energized, that whatever psychological work you do, it is not going to help you. So, what is the approach that functional nutrition or functional medicine takes towards these kind of patients to work on their physical health?
Right. So as we know, right, for like not only for this approach or not only for this dysfunction, for every dysfunction, first of all we need to be absolutely clear that what are the root causes for that stuff, right? So finding out the root cause is the first step. Once we know that these are certain root causes, let's say if the person is having nutritional deficiencies, then we'll be providing those nutrients in form of supplementation as well as food, and correcting that, as well as working, as you said, that once we work, like once we correct all the stuff, all the root causes internally, working on the body part, and then going on to the mind body, like especially emotions, mind emotions part. So those are the major thing. Like let's say for an example, if you find insulin resistance, right, so then we'll be working on correcting that stuff with nutrient deficiencies, with the power of food, as well as including certain supplements. Especially if you'll see, uh, there are known nutrient deficiency for certain nutrients like omega 3s. Like if a person is deficient in these nutrients, definitely one can feel depressed. So omega 3s, vitamin D, magnesium, B vitamins, amino
I mean,
acids,
this
right?
should this
Essential
should
amino
be
acids.
taken by everyone,
And
irrespective
zinc.
of whether depressed or not.
Exactly, like, so just to make sure that you're not running a deficient out of it, right? So that's very important. And then there are certain specific supplements, or specific, based on the person's root causes, based on the person's blood chemistry, which we give. Also there are certain like let's say there are certain specific supplements, as I mentioned, like 5-HTP and GABA. These are two specific nutrient supplementation which we give to certain clients, where we feel that we need to work on their specific health. These are the supplements which everyone should not be taking, because there are a lot of interference with medications can happen. So it should be taken under the guidance of a healthcare practitioner. That is very, very important thing to understand. Besides that, as I said, omega 3s, vitamin D, magnesium, B vitamins, amino acids, essential amino acids, and zinc. These are very basic essential nutrients which everyone should take to make sure that they are not running out of it deficient, especially. So those.
Gupta has mentioned that her depressive episode always fueled her growth. Don't know if it is the same for men. I don't know, but it helps. If you look at it constructively, it helps. I mean, how you deal with it, how you look at it, whether you use it as a stigma, then it becomes another thing that to be hidden. It has, I mean, it shouldn't come out in the open. There becomes shame or stigma attached to it. If you take it as something that my body is suffering from something or my mind is suffering from something, I need to work on it, then it may contribute to the person's growth. Any personal experience, Suyash? Have you ever
Yeah,
been
i
depressed?
was i was just about to say that, right? So even like I was going through the major depression when I was not following my purpose in life, right, which I would supposed to be doing. Let's say in my, especially in my graduates, when I was doing my computer graduations, right, that's where I
So
was.
you were studying computer.
Yeah,
You're
so I
making
was not.
supplements. Okay.
So I was not in my sing, like that was not my purpose, that was not existence designed me to do, right? So that's where I used to feel a lot physical symptoms as well, certain, as well as I used to feel a lot of depression. I don't like used to feel enough enthusiasm. I used to feel like going inward and reading about nutrition, reading about supplements. That's what I used to like, right? So to overcome that depressive stage, I used to do the things which I used to love, which I used to like, which will help me in my growth, or help me like, I
So
didn't know that how it will help me, when it will help me, but I know at some point of time it will be worth, right? And then I used to listen to some mentors, speakers, around that. So I think like
yeah,
it has
you
been the
were
same for
awake.
me.
Yeah, you were awakened enough. You were mindful enough to look for solutions. People go into that loop. Even I, whenever I went under depression, I normally go inwards. I find some kind
Right.
of cure. So Sumit has mentioned that traveling can be one of the cure for depression. I have a take on this. Like whenever I undergo depression, I I mean even that Suyesh mentioned mini depression. Although there are no categories as such, but yeah, whatever the small blip in your energy curve, and you feel like okay, I don't want to do anything. I just be at home, and that is where the cooking has helped me a lot. So I've already identified my anchors. Okay, this is my anchor. I have to do this thing. So I'll come out of my whatever the small depressive state I am in. But specifically talking about travel, travel, if you're getting cured of your depression by traveling, it indicates that the current environment that you are, residing is not conducive for your mental health. That is one thing. Second, what travel offers is anonymity. So travel, if you're traveling solo or even if you're traveling with a friend or something, most of the people who are around you are unknown to you. So there is something which is pointing towards the people around you in your life, in your current setup, wherever you're residing, are not helping you or not contributing to your growth. So traveling may not be the direct reason why that person feels better, just because he has come out of a toxic environment. That's why he or he is feeling better. We are talking about men, so we will use only men. So he is feeling better. So seeking solution. So these are quick fixes kind of thing. It may not be a permanent solution, but it's a good way to come out of it, look at it again, and see with what was wrong with my previous place of wherever I was, people around me, and critically look at them and address it in a more permanent way. Short term traveling works. Go ahead, do it. Does physical activity in the form of saying, Suyash, it's you're
Yeah,
a more of
so
a physical activity person.
so not only like strength training, I will say, any kind of physical activity helps you to bring out of that loop, bring out of the depressive stage, right? Because depression is totally opposite to, like
So
physical
even
activity or any kind of
dopamine gets
stimulus.
released when you are doing any kind of
Exactly.
physical activity. Yes.
The feel good hormones, right? The
Yeah.
endorphins, dopamine, all that get released, and you feel like definitely alive
Yeah.
at that moment. But again, as Avinash said, that these are all quick fixes until unless you find out the root cause and what's again getting you into your the same behaviors
After
or the
that
same
physical
flow.
activity is over, you are likely to go back
Right,
again.
exactly. So that is one thing. And then even like a lot of people stick to one thing, like a lot of people promote like cold showers, these kind of breathings and those kind of breathing to overcome again depression. These are all quick fixes, tools which will help you
Temporarily
come
come
out
out of
come
it,
out
then you have to go back and work on it again, clear all the
exactly
marks.
until this you fix it, your long term stuff, right?
True. So, the coming back to the last point, in fact, it is my take on how the depression, the psychological
Reasons for
reasons for why
yeah.
depression happens. Not even psychological; these are psycho-spiritual stuff. Lack of purpose, not finding what you're supposed to do onto this planet, not connected with yourself enough. You know how our body is made of not only the physical being that we take care of. We always think about our physical being. Yeah, how do I look? How my hairs are graying or not? Whether I have enough hairs on my head? How my skin looks? How outward appearance? We are obsessed with our physical form, which is the densest form, so that we can see. We hardly care about our mental frame, where we are, what we are supposed to do. We are not even bothered about our spiritual being. And as a man, we are trained or we have been conditioned to suppress our emotion to the best of our abilities, so that even if we feel like crying, we are not supposed to cry. Okay, we are supposed to make up, we are supposed to do something else. You're
Mhm.
supposed to run away, you're supposed to shout, you're supposed to show anger, but you're not supposed to show your emotion. So when you start looking at yourself as a beyond a physical form phenomena or beyond a physical form person or being, then you will understand those psycho-spiritual, emotional stuff that you're trying to hide away from, that you're trying to run away from. And I think that is the major reason why people get into the depressive phase, apart from the metabolic issue, which is fueling to that thing. Okay, your even neurotransmitter production itself is affected. So although you're feeling low, now there are not enough neurotransmitter because your gut is bad or your mitochondrial health is not up to the mark. You're getting into that abyss. You're falling into that bottomless pit, and unless you develop some sort of anchor around your life, around your purpose of your life, around what you're supposed to do, who are you in the first place, I think those are the questions everyone should be asking when they are not depressed. Find out those answers, create some kind of framework around it. So whenever you feel depressed, these are the purposes, these are the visions, these are the goals should be able to take you out of that depressive pit. So any final comments, Suresh? What should people do? What Uh, uh, I mean, they should come to us. That is one thing, but not everyone is willing. Not everyone is convinced.
The major thing is like we need to talk about it, we need to acknowledge it, and we need to accept it, right? Once we start doing that, then like we'll no longer be suppressing it, repressing it, and we'll be able to use our full potential, like why we are here on earth, right? So you'll be able to blossom into a, of course, evolved being and a superhuman, I'll say, definitely. So that's my last comment, what you need
Yes.
to.
So embracing the human experience, that is the program I run. That is the program I run with Mugdha. You can also watch the podcast. We talk about a lot of stuff on spirituality, a lot of stuff on emotions, keys to navigate this planet. As Suyash said, using your full potential to access and embrace all kinds of experiences that this planet has to offer. How you can do it safely, how you can do it with full awareness, how you can do it with the intention of serving your ultimate purpose. Do watch it if you get time. It's lovely talk that we host, and I hope we were able to address some of your queries around depression. If there are any more queries, do reach out to us on all social media handles, website. You can talk to us, DM us, share, comment, like, and we will come up with something new concerning men's health next month. Till then, see
Yes.
you and bye.
Chalo. See you guys. Bye bye. Thank you, Avinash.
Bye.